on the Eagles Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the EWU Athletics Flight Report, presented by Gee Automotive, The Plains Golf Course, Corwin Ford, and by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Now, here's your host, the voice of Eagle Athletics, Larry Weir.
Welcome to Flight Report, the Eagle Football Coaches Show for this week. Eastern Washington coming off a great win on Saturday against Southeastern Louisiana by the score of 40-29, knocking off the 19th-ranked Lions in the first ever meeting between the two schools. This week on Flight Report, you're going to hear from offensive tackle Wyatt Hansen. Also, one of the new Eagles this year, linebacker Ben Allen, will join us from the state of Ohio. Coach Best, do you remember in any of your years? I'm not remembering any guys from the state of Ohio on this team.
No, Minnesota, Texas, first from Ohio.
That's, as far as I know, that's the first from Ohio. So we don't need two hands, probably don't need two fingers to count players from Ohio in the past. But one thing we can say now is Eastern Washington's into the win column, and this offensive unit each week has looked better and better and better. Now, you're still leaving some points out on the table, some things to clean up, but you've got to be pleased with what you've seen from this offense through the first 3 weeks of the season.
Well, I think, it's when you look at an 11-game regular season, if you're improving every week, I'd go back to where did you start? Because it's really hard to improve if all of a sudden you start at 475 and 70% conversion rate on third down and 85% on fourth down. I mean, so we've actually started in a good spot and incrementally gotten better against three really good teams, 2 on the road and 1 at home. I think we're juiced up this week playing at home. I think we're excited about getting back home in the red in front of our own fans. It was a rowdy crowd that helped us out in the game. There were some moments where we, hit a little bit of a lull where things were going, then they weren't going. They brought us back, and we made enough plays to escape with an 11-point victory. And so, but yes, the offense has done some amazing things thus far. They haven't got out of their principal way of doing things. Fast, execute, move the sticks, break tackles, hand the ball to the ref, and do it again. Coach Chapin always talks about 6 seconds at a time. Every play, on average, is 6 seconds. So if we can do 6-second increments over and over and over, in this case 90-plus times on Saturday, we've got a heck of a chance. We keep the football in our possession and score those sevens in the red zone. I think we settled for a couple field goals, which we're going to need to do against good teams. Those are going to happen. But all in all, I think Zero has done a really good job. Coach Chapin has played to his strengths through 3 games. And again, mind you, he's only started 4 games, Kikoa. So he looks like a veteran. He should act like a veteran, but he's still only 4 games into his career. So we're excited about where our offense is headed. But again, it's a week-by-week basis, and here we go entering Big Sky play.
Different coordinators, different years, so forth, but this isn't necessarily the big play type offense we've seen in the past. This is a different Eastern team. I think it was a 21 or 22 play drive against Fresno State, and then last week against Southeastern, I think a 15 play touchdown drive, another 13 or 14 play drive, but still 92 plays, 530 yards, 37 first downs in that ball game, 8.5 plus time of possession as well for this team.
That was big. Time of possessions and turnovers are kind of 2 areas where, take all the other stats aside, those are usually going to tell you if you didn't give up the ball and you possess the ball for, in this case, 8 minutes more than your opponent, and don't give up the big play on defense, you've got a heck of a chance to, extend the difference of points between you and your opponent. So it's certainly that was. We're usually not in the 33, 34-minute mode, and we'll get to some bigger explosive plays, but we had a few 20s and 30s. But yeah, we may not go for the 80s or 85s, but 85 still adds up. If you go 40, 40, and 5, they still add up the same way. But we're going to play to Kikoa's strengths, and we're going to try to take what defenses give us. If that means it's 6-yard increments or 17-yard increments or 2-foot increments, we're going to do that and keep stacking plays. But so it's all about end result, and it's a big body of work with a lot of variables involved in it. We're going to push tempo each and every week. That's not a secret to anybody. If we can find a personnel that we really think we can fit in that series and stay in bounds, that we're going to try to utilize that personnel and those guys and push those guys to 6 and 8 plays at a time, whether it's running back or right tackle or our left receiver or our tight ends. And so we played at an extremely high level. We played very efficient on Saturday. Outside the red zone, there was a lot of really, really good things, and we came out on top. That's what it's all about.
Justice Jackson, 12 carries, 91 yards, beautiful touchdown, as well. He averaged just under 8 yards a carry. Altair, I thought, came in and gave you some juice. I really like the fact that you guys are running the football better. Now, the first 2 weeks you had some dudes you went up against that are pretty darn good. They were big up front, but I also like the way you stretched the field, too, and you were able to make some plays. You had 2 receivers, that were outstanding. Olm in the first half, and, of course, that Chisholm guy is not too bad in the second half, but you have go-to guys now. You're starting to really show some things, offensively that people are going to have to game plan, and that's not an easy thing to do.
Well, I think the thing Coach Chapin has done a good job of, he maximizes the width of the field. The length may be something we may not be able to get over the top on a lot of people. The entire, that's okay. We got to know who we are, what our strengths are. But if we can continue to go sideline to sideline and maximize the width of the field with a lot of different people, not just running backs, not just tight ends, not just receivers, then we got a better chance to stretch the field. And then all of a sudden things widen. Now we can attack in between the hashes. So thus far, those backs have run tough. And again, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about the total number of yards rushing. To me, it's almost yards per attempt. And there's going to be some short yardage situations where it's not going to be a 5-yard gain. It's going to be a 1-yard gain to get a new set of sticks. And so, there's going to be 4 to 6 of those probably in a game where it's 3rd and 1 and 2 or 4th and 1 and 2, where you're not looking for the 10-yarder. You're looking for the one just to get a new set of chains. And so, thus far, Tuna and Justice have carried most of the load. Kiko will splash in their times. Michael Wortham will splash in their times. I'm sure Coach Chapin at some point will utilize some of those receivers to get them in some fly sweep and things to integrate into the run game. But, again, we're going to play to our strengths. We're going to take what the defense gives us, and we're going to practice accordingly and see if it works out on Saturday. But all told, we've been pretty balanced. We've been almost 50-50, darn near 55-45 run-pass percentage ratio. So if you can stay balanced and stay efficient, you keep the defense guessing. That's what we want to do.
I'm a defensive guy, and I really like what I'm seeing on this football team through the first 3 weeks. You held a very good offense to only 59 plays, 293 yards. This is a team that went into the playoffs, beat Idaho last year. It was pretty darn good throwing the football, and I thought you made them one-dimensional. And they hurt you a little bit with the quarterback, sweeps to the outside, kind of outflanking the defense. But overall, turnovers, interception, that basically sealed the game. They put the ball on the ground 3 times, just couldn't get there, from that standpoint, which was frustrating, for all of us. But I really like what this defense is doing. They're turning the football over, they're tackle for losses, they're having sacks, and they're being very good in the red zone. That's a recipe for a lot of success.
Well, and there's some different mindsets, bend but don't break. Once you get to the red zone, kind of stud up and have them kick field goals. I challenge those guys every time the offense takes a field, the opponents, you have a chance to go 3 and out. It's not what our offense does or how many plays they ran or if they're up tempo or huddle, all that stuff, or what personnel they're in. We have a chance to get off the field 3 and out. And in 3 consecutive games, we've had 4 to 5 series where they had 3 and outs, some consecutively where they went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, maybe a 4 and out. So there's about 13 plays in a matter of about 16, 18 minutes of game time on the clock. I mean, that's a defense's dream, to get off the field, get the offense back the ball, the offense in drives for 7 or 8 minutes. You're fresh, you go back to the field and go do it again. I think we're looking at stat-wise some of the unwritten stuff kind of below the main tier lines is I think 4 drives of theirs resulted in less than 15 yards, and they had 11 drives. So over a quarter of their drives, over a third of their drives ended in 15 yards in that series or less. That's pretty successful no matter what you're doing. We're covering people. We're understanding. We got a lot of trick plays thrown at us. One got us. A bunch of others didn't. They're playing within. They're playing fast. They're running to the football. Even the big play where they ran the double move that went for 50 yards. We had 9 guys outside the hash on the ball carries. He's getting tackled. That's a 50-yard difference from where the ball is snapped, where the ball got tackled. field, and that's a choice. We talk about that all the time. Everything in life is a choice. Some are better than others, and that's care factor. So when that shows up on film, that shows your teammates how much you're willing to give, no matter if it's at the line of scrimmage or 50 yards from. And so Coach Coppin and those assistants have done a great job scouting those guys, giving them scatter reports, seeing different tendencies, and now we're into game 4, so hopefully we have a few better tendencies as now we're 3 games into scouts instead of looking at last year's film at different coordinators and what we're anticipating them to do. And there'll be some wrinkles as we get into Big Sky play, but we're putting some pressure on the quarterback, which eases DB's minds a little bit, so we're not just not getting home and having the quarterback pat the ball 4 or 5 times before he gets to a 6th read. That all those things make a defense better, and we're doing it in pockets. And the linebacker play has helped us a lot this year. We're pressuring a little bit more because we have a little bit more of a knack to get to the quarterback at that position. So we need to continue, because if we continue to play both sides of the ball and then add the special teams element to it, we could be pretty darn good.
I really like how the transfers have blended into this team, and they've given you some juice. But you got the old man of the sea, Marlon Jones Jr. out there, made a great read on that last interception. He was in man coverage. He identified the route because you saw it earlier. They had trying to throw a route behind him. He came off his guy, slid right up underneath the corner route, picked the ball off, housed it, for a 34-yard, basically game-clinching touchdown. How great and rewarding is that as a coach and as a staff to see plays like that made?
Well, there's no secret. The guys that consistently work the hardest and the most efficiently create the best habits, that play the best when the best is needed. That's a defensive back's dream. Down 11 with a minute and change to go. They're absolutely one-dimensional at that time. He obviously saw the route break in. He fell off to the bench route behind it, and he's a smart, savvy football player that understands scheme, understands the situation to keep everything in front of him. And there's nothing but red turf in front of him, and he got it done. So he sealed the game at that point. We're up 4. He knew they needed to have a touchdown with a minute and change, and he pushed it to 11 points. And it just goes to show you all the work that's done behind the scenes shows up in those 3 hours when those guys perform, and there is no secret to it. Sometimes it doesn't come as fast as we want it to, but Marlon's been a heck of a player for a couple years now, and he's only substantiating what we already know, that he's one of the best in the Big Sky.
All right, so this week, Big Sky Conference play begins, and as it's been for the past few years, this conference is no joke. There's going to be a battle every week, 6 teams in the top 15 in the country in both the polls. So beyond this week, it's going to be a test every week in the Big Sky.
Absolutely, and that's the way it should be. It's almost every week is a playoff-type feel week. I'm not going to go say must win, because they're all must win no matter what week it is, but they just mean a little bit more when all of a sudden it's Big Sky play. And we go on the road for the first one this week at Davis at night, 7 o'clock kick. So our guys are ready. A bunch of guys from California. They had a memorable game 2 weeks ago at that point in Fresno. So those guys will be ready and juiced up. And, it'll be 2 really good football teams trying to find out who executes better in that 3-hour span. And so it's the Big Sky is really, really stacked top to bottom. And it seems like every year we keep saying the same thing. It gets better. And we started this about 3 or 4 years ago where, gosh, it hasn't been this good in maybe forever. Now all of a sudden it was better in 19, then it was better in 21, then it's better in 22, and here we are in 2023. And it's not where you start; it's where you finish, and you got to play them all. You don't get everybody on your schedule. You got 8 on your schedule, and we just happen to have UC Davis in front of us, and they have us. So we'll do what we can. But it's fun when the Big Sky is this competitive. It makes it more challenging. It's sweeter when it's harder. That's the way we look at things.
UC Davis this week. This is a team in the past on offense, kind of leans into the run. They've had Ulonzo Gilliam in the last few years. Now they have Len Larison there. They have a quarterback that was all Big Sky Conference first team last year, ahead of McCoy of Idaho, ahead of all the other guys, the Montana State people, et cetera, et cetera. This is a talented offensive football team. No doubt,
and they're creative. They do it in a lot of different ways. They're going to try to get 3 of the ball as much as they can, out of the backfield, in wildcat, at receiver, in screens, in short yardage situations. Larison's their guy. They're going to lean on him. They have Hastings, who obviously is in total control of that offense. They're an RPO, run, screen. They'll kind of touch you in different ways. They'll do it in different ways to try to keep you off balance, and their defense kind of plays off their offense, and they don't bring a ton of pressure. They keep everything in front of them. They make you work for your yards and your points, and they did that last week. It was 6-0 going into half against Southern Utah, so it was a battle at night in Davis, and they came out on top. Much like our game, it kind of went down to the end, and good teams find ways to win games in the end, no matter who you're playing. And Coach Hawkins is a very respected coach in my eyes. He's done it for a long time at many different places at a high level, and so we don't expect anything less this year.
They also have talented players, not only on the offensive side, but defense and special teams. And defense, they've had some good players on the back end, usually excellent linebackers, great guys up front. What are you seeing on this year's defense? Are they similar to what they've been doing? Are they talented? Tell us a little bit about what you know about them on the defensive side.
Well, they got guys that have played a lot of ball. You talk about Chuba, you talk about Nick Eaton on the defensive side, and then the Connors brothers are guys that we were familiar with out of high school, and they chose a route to go to Davis. They've got talented and long cornerbacks, defense play. They're going to break on balls. They're going to bait you a little bit. I mean, first play of the game against Southern Utah, there's three guys in the passing went on an RPO, and one of them comes down with it, and that their first possession on offense was the 20 going in, and Southern Utah held them to a field goal, so they stayed away from the RPO for a while, and they're studious football players. You could tell they just get it. The game is slow to them. They make you work. They take calculated risks. They put 4 all over the field. He's one of the better defense players in this conference, and he's a young kid going into his second year of playing. They put him all over the place. They put him at backer. They put him at level 3. They put him at poach in the middle of the field and kind of read quarterback's eyes. He's just they use him where they need because he's a football player. Just let the guy go make plays, and so he's a vacuum as a tackler. He just finds ball carriers and makes him pay when he gets there. So they're complementary. Offense, defense, or special teams is not going to get in their way. They're going to do a good job. Coach Hawks had a hand in special teams for a long time, and so he'll add some trickery and that stuff. And they'll always have a couple tricks up their sleeve, as they always do. Had one last week. They scored on us in spring of 2021, and that QB sneak with a tight end run up the seam, and they did that. They got stopped at the 1-yard line on 4th and goal from the 1, and the next time they got in 4th and 1 at the plus 20, they ran the tight end up the seam. Same play they got us on in spring of 21. So they're not scared to take risks. They're going to lean on their defense if they don't get that done on offense, and that's what aggressive teams do, and that's what they've done.
I think you're going to also have to prepare your teams for fake punts, fake field goals, double passes. I mean, every time we play them, they have something different, and it's not the same thing each and every time. But that's what he does. He's done that going all the way back to his Boise State and Colorado days, and I would think that especially against Eastern, because they've had a tough time, they've never beaten Eastern. So that's one of their teams that we match up. Eastern does very well against Davis, and there are certain schools that you can do that to, but I know that's been a frustration from their perspective of not being able to break through that.
Well, they're gonna give us everything they got. They do every year, and it's always a battle. Usually goes down to the last series or two. And but yeah, they'll have 3 or 4 guys on offense that are former quarterbacks out of high school that can throw it. Larson's throwing it. Sometimes, in the past, they've done 2 quarterbacks in the game at the same time. They've always had a way to move the ball downfield in creative ways. And so we got a taste of that last week. We were pretty good in most of those trickeration situations, but they got us once, and that's a game of football. I mean, you scheme to dream for points, and they got points out of their one last week, and this unit will be no different. They're not going to lay down. They're going to try to protect their home field. They're 2-1, and that Oregon State loss hurt them a little bit, I think, but they got out of the gates with a 35+ point win against Texas A&M Commerce, and went up to Corvallis against a really good football team and didn't have their best day, and then last week it went down to the end. So they've had kind of 3 different games up to this point. So they've been in some situations we haven't been in this year. They've lost 1, we've lost 2, but they've been in a blowout on their end, a blowout on not their end, and then a tight one that they came out on top. So that's what you want as a football coach. You want to be in different situations kind of early to see where your team is, because if you're in game 9, never in a must-score situation, the last series of the game, well, we practice it, but practice is different than than the 3 hours on Saturday with a keep score. And we were in that situation a couple times in the last couple weeks. And so hopefully that adds to our mentality and our toolbox as we go forward, and we can kind of know that we've been in that situation and be better going to the next situation. So it'll, I'm sure, go down the last series or two.
The game on Saturday will be the 11th meeting between Eastern Washington and UC Davis. History shows Eastern Washington 10 wins, UC Davis none. The scoreboard's going to say nothing at the start of the ball game. Does history matter?
History doesn't matter. Much like we always say, momentum into the next season, or, it's a number. And when someone sees a number, everybody's got different perceptions on what the number is. I'm sure their battle cry this week will be, we got to get this one, but you can only add pressure to it. There's no need to add pressure. This is this team in 2023 on the road for the first time in league play. And so records and stats are just that, records and stats. But by no means, whether it's the 04 team that beat the first UC Davis time when they were a division, that doesn't really matter 15, 16 years from that. That's for you guys to talk about and marinate in. But to these kids, it's something that's important to them, but it's not the end-all be-all. They gotta be them. We got to be us at the end of the day. 6X at a clip.
Coach, thanks for the time. Congratulations on a great top 25 win last week against Southeastern Louisiana. Let's make it 2 in a row this Saturday.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's head coach Aaron Best. When we come back, it'll be player interviews. We will hear from linebacker Ben Allen, then offensive tackle Wyatt Hansen here on the Flight Report, the Eagle Football Coaches Show from Learfield.
When you work around here, your day can go all over the map. You need a truck that takes on any task and keeps working hard no matter what crops up. Smart and tough trucks from Corwin Ford make your work easier, whether it's finding your destination or getting to work once you're there. So load up, head out, and no matter where you tow, you'll be on track to get the job done. Corwin Ford, family driven for over 100 years.
Clement under center, tosses it to the running back, tosses it back to Clement, who is sacked by Jaron Banks, and that was very nearly intercepted on the lateral back at the 11-yard line, loss of 10. Welcome back to Flight Report again for this week. 3 big games in the Big Sky Conference this week. It's the first week conference play. 4th-ranked Sacramento State plays at number 7, Idaho. Number 10, Weber State will host 3rd-ranked Montana State, and the Eastern Washington Eagles receiving votes. They'd be 28th in the Stats Perform media poll against number 15, UC Davis on Saturday. Linebacker Ben Allen joins us now out of Toledo, Ohio, and I can probably count, I don't think I need 2 hands to count the number of players Eastern has had from the state of Ohio, and I don't know that I need 2 fingers to count the number of players Eastern has had from the state of Ohio. So how did you get from Bucknell University in Pennsylvania, Ohio native, all the way out here to Eastern Washington University?
Yeah, so the last 4 years I played out in FCS school out east in Pennsylvania, and then I got that COVID year of eligibility, and so I just jumped in the portal because I had already graduated out there, and some of the coaches from Eastern followed me on Twitter, and then kind of took off from there. And I visited out here, I loved it, felt like a really good family out here, and that's how it ended up out here. Yep.
A little bit of a leap of faith almost, right? Because you went 20-some-odd 100 miles across the country to go to college. Everything's new out here.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely something I was, it was a little hard to think about, before I was out here. If, oh wow, is this a place for me? It's so far away from, from family, from home. But then I thought about it, and it's a really good school out here, really good football, and it's a new challenge, and I think it's good for you to do these kind of things in your life here and there. So
is it, you were at Bucknell for 4 years, so you got used to the routine. Is everything being new from teammates to coaches to practices to opponents, is that a big challenge?
I would say maybe a little bit in the summer, just coming in, a lot of new different, concepts on defense, that kind of thing, and just kind of getting used to the flow and the routine out here. But pretty soon, it was pretty similar to what I did out east, and it just felt really comfortable out here. So.
Ben, it's impressive to watch you guys come in as transfers, 24 transfers, whether it's junior college or FBS or FCS guys coming in. And that's not always easy to blend into a team, but you guys seem to have done it very well. And I think the front 7 on the defense has played very, very well. Last year, Eastern had a tough time stopping the run, stopping anybody. Yep. And yet this year, very stout up front, playing much better against the likes of North Dakota State and Fresno State, and of course last weekend's win here on the Red. Have you guys? Do you feel that? I mean, from a standpoint, do you feel like you're running to the ball better? Your reads better? What's going on? How's this thing coming together?
Yeah, I think I said this a little bit earlier in training camp. Just like honestly, right when I got in here, like I think a lot of the transfers, including myself, just gelled really well with a lot of the guys here, and it did not feel like. I mean, I wasn't here last year, so I can't really speak on that. But like, it did not feel like this was a team that didn't do well in defense. Like just the mentality, all the returning guys here, and all the players here, and it just felt like there's a big chip on the shoulder. And our coaches do a great job preparing us in and out each week, and yeah, I just think there's a good mentality on the defense right now, and we got to continue that.
And what I like about it is you're striking people. This is a defense that's not having to blitz a lot, but making a lot of plays. Last weekend they did a nice job on getting to the edge, using the quarterback, bringing an extra, player in to kind of block you guys. You're probably going to see that down the road as well. What are some of the things you're working on during practice to kind of improve on maybe that portion of the game?
Yeah, definitely. When any team runs a quarterback, you add an extra blocker into the mix, and it makes it tougher on defenses, whether you're in one high or two high or any of those different types of concepts. So I mean, I think our coaches do a really good job, like mid-game adjustments. We put in a few adjustments in order to get a few extra hits around the ball. So that was really good.
How much fun has this been for you? Got to play in the Viking Stadium, which is unbelievable, and then you guys go on the road and play a Mountain West team that just shut out Arizona State. For goodness sake. And in my opinion, I thought Eastern Washington was a better football team in the second half. Should have won that darn game, and then you finally get the win. Is there some momentum building up here for this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've felt that momentum since training camp. Even like going into last week, we're an 0-2 team, but it just hasn't felt that way. It just feels like we got a lot of good senior leaders on this team that have been here before me. It's just a lot of good senior leaders that this team, I just feel like stays very even keel, whether things are going well or things are going bad. But I definitely feel there's definitely a lot of good momentum for us. And yeah, speaking on the environments, like especially those first 2 weeks and like first game on the Red, it was three unreal environments so far, so I'm enjoying the heck out of it.
What I like too is a lot of the players that have come in are older, and you see success with older teams, leadership from that standpoint. You played a lot of football at this level. Do you feel like you're stepping into that leadership role, and is it paying off?
Yeah, I think definitely as the days keep going down, as we keep getting farther into the year, I think I felt that a little bit more of a leadership role kind of each day. So, I'm just trying to do my best and, help put our team in a chance to win. So.
All right, you come from an athletic family. Your dad played college football. Both your sisters played Division I soccer. Your brother played college football and baseball. So who's the best athlete in the family?
Jeez. I would probably have to say both of my sisters, honestly. They're just really good athletes. But, my brother's a really good athlete, too. And, growing up, I kind of wanted to do everything exactly like he did. So he's just a really great role model in my life. Same thing with my sisters. So I don't. That's a good question. Probably the girls, though. Yep.
How soon was athletics? Was that kind of from the time that you could walk that was encouraged within the family?
Yeah, my parents were pretty nonchalant about do whatever you want to do, that kind of thing. It was just something I wanted to do, and my brother wanted to do it too. Sports and everything. So they didn't really push anything too crazy on us, but it just happened pretty early. Yep.
Did they have a chance to get to Minnesota to watch that game, or they have plans to come out here to Cheney later this year?
Yeah, they actually made it to the first two games. Both of my parents did, which is they're awesome. They're my best support system. So they were able to go out to Minnesota, which is the closest game for me. But they weren't able to make it out last weekend. But I think they'll be here for the Idaho game. So. All
right. So your first month on campus here with, a month and a half roughly that you're on campus once practice starts in August to now, no students. So with students starting to come onto campus and there's a little bit more life, is this a little more of an enjoyable time, or did you enjoy it when it was just the teams and that was about it here in town?
I mean, it still felt like there was a lot of people here, even when there weren't students. I don't know why, but yeah, it definitely feels like there's more and more people trickling in. So it's exciting for sure. But we just got to kind of keep our eye on the prize with football and not get too mixed up with anything else. So
you mentioned that you got your degree from Bucknell. So what are you doing at Eastern? What's your quarter looking like coming up?
So I'm just doing a post-bac this semester. because I'm only here for a quarter actually. So I'm doing some business classes and I think a nutrition class. So yeah.
A little easier.
Yeah.
Are you able to spend maybe a little bit more time with football, which is probably something you couldn't do with Bucknell? You were taking a regular, course of classes.
Yeah. Academically at my last school, it was pretty challenging. So I mean, I don't really know. I haven't even taken a class here, but I'm really hoping I can, just dial it in on ball a little bit and just just keep it focused on football.
All right. What was your degree in, and what do you want to do with life once football ends for you, whenever that is?
So my degree was in management and organizations, kind of a basic business major, and I had a minor in real estate. So after this, I'm going to be working for a construction management company, and then like a general contractor type, and then like later in my life, I want to get into real estate.
Big Sky Conference play starts, and so the Eagles are 1-2, but a lot of momentum coming into this ball game. But everybody's 0-0 coming into this week. So you've been through the conference wars before in the Patriot League with Bucknell. Mm-hmm. It's something everybody, I'm sure, is looking forward to this Saturday and for the weeks ahead.
Yeah, definitely. When we get out in California on Saturday, it just means a little more. When you're in conference play, it just means more because if you get to that point where you're in the top few teams in the conference, you're a conference champion, you're in the playoffs. So you kind of control your own destiny from this point forward. So this is a big game for us.
Nothing against the Patriot League, but in this conference you've got 6 teams in the top 15 in the country in FCS football. So was that a motivation for you, the opportunity to move into one of the best conferences in the country?
I think that was a big thing for me. Is just the Big Sky's on the, I would say, top 1 or 2 conference in the FCS. I think arguably one. But yeah, and I think after my visit at Eastern, this is a team, this is a program that's won so much in the past, and off year last year, but this is a winning program, and that's why I wanted to come here, and we got the opportunity to do that coming forward. So.
Ben, thanks for the time. Good luck on Saturday.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Eagle linebacker Ben Allen. We will have more here on the Eagle Football Coaches Show and the flight report for this week right after we pause for this timeout. This is Eagle Football from Learfield.
George G. Buick GMC is proud to support Eastern Eagles football. We're your locally owned dealer with excellent customer service and a friendly staff. Right now, get great offers on the all-new GMC Sierra, featuring a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine delivering 310 horsepower. See our inventory of Sierras just off I-90 at George G. Buick GMC, the top volume Buick GMC dealer in Washington State. Visit GBuickGMC.com.
Jackson, the running back, to the left of the quarterback, Visperis. Out of the gun, takes the snap, face mask high, hands it off Jackson. Off the left side, has a first down, struggling, driving into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! Eastern Washington, Justice Jackson with great second effort. Welcome back to Flight Report. This week in the Stats Perform Top 25 Media Poll, Montana State 3rd, Sacramento State coming off their win over Stanford 4th, Idaho 7th, Weber State 10th, Montana 13th, UC Davis 15th, and the coaches poll almost the same. Montana State 3rd, Sac State 4th, Weber State 8th, Idaho 10th, Montana 11, and UC Davis 15, Eastern 28 if you take the ratings down in the media poll, 29th in the coaches poll, heading into Saturday's game at UC Davis. Pre-game show starts at 6, kickoff at 7 o'clock. We hope you join us for that. We continue with players now. Offensive lineman Wyatt Hansen is here. You're a guard to start your career at Eastern. Now you're playing tackle, but you played a little bit at guard again last week. Do you have a preference, guard or tackle?
Not really. Guard's more natural for me, just with my frame. I think that tackle is a little easier on my body, but they both have their things that I enjoy. Both have challenging aspects to it.
Could you play center if they asked you to play center?
Yeah, I'd have to brush up a little bit. It's a little more, got to be more on your know the offense a little more, but I could do it.
Is that something that, versatility, being able to play guard and tackle and maybe center as well, is that something as you look forward to potentially playing, whether it's in the National Football League or some other league after college, that's going to be, you're going to stand you in good stead for going forward?
Yeah, I know I'm not a tackle going forward, so focus more on guard as I pursue the next level, and then I've also been told that I can play a little bit center, so getting on the off-season, snapping a little bit, just getting into that has been in focus.
You got to play both guard and tackle, I know, in the last game. I know I saw you in both positions. So is it hard to move within the game from position to position?
Not really. The first drive could be a little bit because you just don't know exactly what you're going against. Once you switch because D ends and D tackles are way different. So switching back and forth is a little different. But after that, you just kind of get comfortable with who you're going against, and it starts to get a little easier.
Wyatt, when you look at what Eastern's done, they've always turned out offensive linemen and done a great job at it. Your head coach is an old center, and old being the key on that one, but has a lot of experience. So are you able to glean, things from different coaches and, the players in front of you and stuff like that, and your movement from your freshman year to now your junior year? How much growth have you had along those lines?
Yeah, it's been a lot because, with Coach Best being an old offensive line coach, it's almost 2 offensive line coaches because he comes in and critiques you. You get a second set of eyes. And then in terms of growth, I came in, played behind with Tristan, played next to him, Connor, Musser, Shook, like all old guys who were able to kind of push me as a true freshman. And I took a lot from those guys in terms of my game and trying to just learn and progress.
You're an honorable mention, all Big Sky player in 22, preseason, third team Big Sky player, but Eastern has got a rep for really turning out and being aggressive. You guys do a great job on attacking teams in terms of running the football, finishing plays around the pile. Obviously you have to learn how to pass protect, pass pro, but is that something part of the game? What's your favorite part of being a lineman? Is it running the football, or is it standing in there for pass coverage?
I think running the football, it's something you take a pride in because that shows your effort on the field. Then you can get down, you can spike piles, push them for more, and that's just something that you like to see when you rush for 200, 250 yards. It makes you happy.
You guys were tempoing southeastern Louisiana last week, and I thought wore them out. They had some big dudes up front, but towards the end of the game, a lot of hands on hips. You could just tell that they were gassed. Is that something you guys take pride in, is your conditioning and the fact that you can run tempo offense?
Oh, yeah, we try to wear them down. We know that we're in better shape, and we just go out there and we just execute. We know we're going to get tired too. It's not easy being 300 pounds running 15 plays in a drive, but we know that we can do it and execute to our highest ability.
I haven't got to 300 pounds. I'm trying to stay away from that, but I'm working on it. But it's amazing to watch how athletic you guys are now. You have to pull. You have to get out on the corner. You've got to get downfield. You've got to run screens and all sorts of different things. And, the position has really been, sometimes about height and weight and that size, but it's also athleticism. You have to have good feet. Yeah. And that looks like something you've developed and you're pretty darn good at.
Yeah, we've had to get out in space a lot, pulling stuff. So it's been something that I didn't do in high school at all. So I had to kind of pick it up, and it's gotten more and more confident being out in space, especially switching to tackle, playing with more space, got my feet a little better, more athletic out there on the edge.
How much fun is it to come around the corner and see a puny defensive back like me standing out there? You just want to bury it.
You get so excited. They don't want no part of you, so they just run away.
They do run away. Yeah. I did that a lot. I hid behind the referee, and I dive in the pile, and hopefully they saw my number. I get credit for a tackle. Yep. But I think the other thing, too, is as the season goes on, you can see the difference from game 1, you're coming into game 4. How much improvement do you have to have each week, especially in the Big Sky, which is an unbelievable conference from top to bottom, to get better each and every week?
It's a lot because you're going to see a lot of different types of defenses and stuff like that. So you have to be on your game mentally, physically. You just have to go out and dominate. You're going to see all sorts of different crews, bigger guys, smaller guys, more athletic. It's just a different challenge every week, and you have to just know your stuff.
This offense has been better in each week this season. You had the North Dakota State game, then Fresno, and then last week 530 yards, 37 first downs. Do you guys feel it in the huddle? Do you feel it on the sidelines? And are you looking forward to that, if this continues, what this offense can do as you go through this season?
Oh, yeah. We talk about it all the time. Coach Chapin's big thing is be us. We understand that's us. We're not going to take huge shots downfield. We're going to wear teams out. We're going to go on 15-play drives, and that just juices us up. We know that's what we're going to do. So everybody gets excited and gets around that.
You have been a starter since you came to Eastern. You played first in the spring season of 2021. I believe this will be your 33rd start coming up on Saturday against UC Davis. You're kind of the old man of the group. You're not necessarily a senior, but you've been around and you've started more games than everybody else. So leadership and that thing, does it come naturally to you?
More in the actions. I've never been a super verbal guy, but I had to step into that a little bit. After last year, especially playing next to Wyatt Musser, as he kind of went down in the middle of the season, I had to step into that role a little bit, and I accepted it, came out of my shell a little bit, and was able to push some guys forward.
You've talked about guys like Musser and Taylor and some of the guys you played next to. I'm sure you picked up something from each of those guys.
Oh, yeah, a lot, especially with Wyatt Musser. We were really close last year. Just kind of the way he plays the game. He's not the best player. We love him, but he will try to kill somebody out there. He's not afraid to do that. So switching that little switch in your head is pretty big.
All right, at Kentwood or Kent Ridge?
Kentwood.
Kentwood. Yeah. What did you play other sports other than football?
I was a baseball guy.
Were you?
Yeah.
Did you? What position?
First base, designated hitter. I played a little third base on my club team.
Did you pitch at all?
A little bit. I wasn't a great pitcher. I could throw a curveball, but I had no gas.
I was going to say, you'd be a little intimidating for a hitter.
Oh, the intimidation was there. I wore rec specs, though, so it wasn't a great look on the mound out there.
Was football always your favorite sport?
No, I wanted to play college baseball up until probably my junior year. And then, I was just bigger, and football came way easier to me, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, you can go play football for free. And then I just kind of fell in love with it. Yeah.
What are you majoring in? What do you want to do with life after football once that time comes?
Majoring in exercise science. I don't know exactly what I want to do with it. Thinking kind of personal training, like football, kind of staying in football, because I've always wanted to be around sports just because that's what I grew up doing. So I don't really know yet once I'm done.
Well, thanks for coming in and joining us. We appreciate your time, and good luck on Saturday against UC Davis.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's Eagle offensive tackle Wyatt Hansen. When we come back, we'll wrap things up here on Flight Report, the Eagle Football Coaches Show after this. This is Eagle Football from Learfield.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Order Bud Light online today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Chisholm in motion, through to the right side. Vesperis takes the snap, wants to throw. Looks back of the end zone. Caught. Chisholm, touchdown. Touchdown, Eastern Washington, Efton Chisholm III. It's his first receiving touchdown of the year, the 17th of his career. Welcome back to Flight Report, the Eagle Football Coaches Show for this week. The Eagles at UC Davis, one of three Big Sky Conference games on the first week of conference play. We mentioned them earlier. Number 4, Sacramento State playing at 7th-ranked Idaho. Also number 3, Montana State at number 10, Weber State. I'm using the numbers from the Stats FCS Media Poll. Stats Perform, FCS Media Poll. 56 media members across the country, of which I am one. I voted Eastern 23rd in the nation last week, or for this week, I should say, after last week's game. So at any rate, 3 huge games. UC Davis, number 15 in the country. 6 p.m. for our pregame show on radio, 7 o'clock for the kickoff. Game is on TV, on ESPN Plus, or on video, I guess, ESPN Plus. If you want to try to sync our radio call to the TV, if you don't want to listen to the opposition's TV guy, and it's not a neutral situation. It's a Sacramento-based production. You can do that if you are watching on ESPN Plus. What you need to do then is also be listening through the internet. You can't do it on the radio locally here. It's not going to sync up. But if you go to the internet and listen to us, if you're local to Spokane or within an hour's drive of Spokane, you can do it at 700ESPN.com, 700ESPN, 105.3 FM in Spokane, our flagship radio station, so you can listen there. If you're a local, if you're outside the area, then what you need to do is either download the Varsity Network app, available for free, either for iPhone or Android users, or you can go to the Eastern Athletics website, goeags.com, click on the football schedule, and then go down to the UC Davis game. It'll give a link to listen. That'll take you to the Varsity Network Eastern site, and you would then want to listen on the web, and you can do that as well. It's then you have to time everything to what you're seeing. It's a pain in the neck, but I can do it. I've done it in the past. And if I can do it, I know you can do it, because I'm an idiot when it comes to this kind of stuff. A little old, I think, probably, but at any rate, it is doable. I can do it, and if I can do it, I think you can do it. So there you have it for this Saturday against UC Davis. Again, 6 o'clock for the pregame, 7 o'clock for the kickoff. And then, of course, next week, the University of Idaho comes to town, and there are single-game tickets available for the rest of Eastern's football season. But there's also a 2-game combo, which will be the 2 teams that are ranked in the top 10 in the country that are coming to Cheney this year. That's September 30th, Idaho, October 21st, Weber State. All right, for tickets to those games, that 2-game combo, you can go to goeags.com, click on the tickets link, then click on football, and go from there. And there's also single-game tickets that you can order as well. It's all at goeags.com. Thanks for listening to Flight Report this week. Thanks to our guests, Eagle linebacker Ben Allen, Eagle offensive lineman Wyatt Hansen, and, of course, head coach Aaron Best. For Paul Sorensen, I'm Larry Weir. We thank you for listening. We'll be back again next week with another edition of the Flight Report Coaches Show, and we will also have the game for you coming up Saturday night, starting at 6 with the pregame and 7 with the kickoff. Here on the Eagle Football Network from Learfield.
You've been listening to the EWU Athletics Flight Report, presented by Corwin Ford, The Plains Golf Course, Gee Automotive, and by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.